There are rumors now that the Celtics are interested in trading Jaylen Brown for Kevin Durant. What do I think about these rumors? Well, I just like to break it down to whether or not it is worth it for the Celtics. I think this is a really tricky question. It's not as easy as people would think it is. If it was asked about, like, I would say 4 or 5 years ago, easily you would do this trade if you're the Celtics because, Kevin Durant was still in his prime back then. But Kevin Durant has gotten older and he is more injury prone than he was in his past. So, with that being said, Jaylen Brown, what I can say about Jaylen Brown as a basketball player, he's a very good basketball player. I believe he went to the All Star game either this year or last year. He's been to one All Star game. I know that for sure. So he has the ability to go to more than one. I do see he went to only one so far in his career. Could he be a perennial All Star? Absolutely. I definitely believe he can. However, Jaylen Brown really falls in the mold to me of a second tier star. I don't think he can ever be a superstar. I just don't see it. I do see a guy who'll get you somewhere around 20 to 24 points a game for the rest of his career, but he'll never be a superstar or be the guy. Some could say the Celtics don't need him to be that. He was actually better than Jason Tatum in the NBA Finals this year, so you got to give him that. He does have the playoff experience. However, I just think there's just something missing about this guy's game. Just to me, he's in that second tier mold of like a DeMar DeRozan type. Granted, I do think he's mentally probably stronger than DeMar. He doesn't seem soft to me, but I think he's just in the same class. He's a second tier star, but he's never going to be a superstar. So that's a dilemma. He'll be probably the same player for the next 7, 8 years. It's just he's only 25 right now, so I think he has 7 or 8 good years coming up if he remains healthy. He's also relying on his great athletic ability. He's super athletic, but as we know, once your athleticism fades, that's when your career starts to deteriorate. If you're a player that heavily relies on athleticism, Jaylen Brown to me has never really been a funnily sound player in the sense that he doesn't have what they call old man's game, so I don't think his game will age well. But that doesn't concern the Celtics. He's still very young, still not a guy that's ever going to be a legit superstar. And if he's not going to be a legit superstar, you have to hope Jason Tatum can become one. I'm not sure if he's there yet. He came close this year, but you need him to become a superstar if the Celtics are going to win a championship. So the problem with Kevin Durant just trading for him now is Kevin Durant is not really young anymore. He's going to turn 34 in September. He's going to turn 34, and up until the playoffs last year, he didn't look his age. He didn't look his age at all, but during the playoffs, I think you had to be disturbed by what you saw in Kevin Durant. Just from what I saw in the playoffs was a man that had lost his first step. Not to say Kevin Durant ever had a lightning quick first step, but he was definitely a step slower. And you could see it. Like, he had a hard time getting by defenders. Granted, you give the Celtics a lot of credit for playing great defense, but I also believe a lot of it was Durant's lack of athleticism. He just could not get by them. Just I never saw him easily get by a defender with his first step. He was very slow. They were able to collapse right on him. So I thought that was very disturbing. For what I saw in the playoffs, and usually when a player loses his first step at that age, they never get it back. I've never seen a player get it back once he loses his first step. So that's something I would be concerned about if Kevin Durant fan or if you're a Nets fan, because this guy might stay on your team. I think Celtic fans should be concerned about that too. Does him showing his age in last year's playoffs was a bad sign because he could bring that into the upcoming season. I still think with losing a step or two, Durant is still a 20-point scorer without a doubt. He has a great jump shot. He's very tall, and lanky, so he'll always be able to get you 20. But it's like how he gets it. if he's really lost the first step, it'll be much more hard for her to get those points. And I don't think he would really be a superstar anymore if he's lost that first step. I think he'll still be a very good player, an all-star caliber player, but not the Kevin Durant you saw at OKC or Golden State, or even last year in the playoffs with the Nets. Not this year's playoffs, but 2021. That could have been the last time we saw peak Kevin Durant. There's also injury issues with Kevin Durant. I've seen this the last 2 years when I look at his regular season games, how many he's played. Let's look at the 2021 season. He only played 35 games, and the total that year I believe was 72 games. So he missed more than half of the regular season that year. Fast forward to this year, he only played 55 games, so he missed 27 games. So as a Celtics fan, that's very concerning for you because the Celtics are not a loaded team in the sense that they can afford him to miss that many games, that it won't have an impact on their season because they definitely need to be a top three team in the East. They want to get out of the East. Just when you look at the standings, so I think that would be important. You got to look at it from that perspective. Does he still have the ability to remain healthy? I think that's probably part of the reason Kevin Durant wants to go to a stacked team. Obviously, the other reason I think secretly is that he doesn't like playing with Kyrie. He can't admit it because he's passive aggressive. So I'm not sure if this is a great trade for the Celtics. I think it's a great trade if they could swap Jaylen Brown for Kevin Durant and they get Kevin Durant from 2021, but that's not a given. So it's really a questionable move by the Celtics. I feel they have the most to lose in this deal if they decide to make it, where the Nets have the most to gain. Jaylen Brown is just a given. He's going to be a 20-point scorer regardless of where he plays, and he's still very young. So the Nets, this is a nothing to lose trade, but this for the Celtics, this is a trade where they could lose a lot. You lose a good young prospect in Jaylen Brown, and if Kevin Durant does not pan out, if you don't win a title, it will be hard to recover the loss of Jaylen Brown long term, I believe. So I think it's a very difficult situation for the Celtics to be in. That's how I feel about this. So let me know what you think about it. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it.